Hi hustlers, in today's episode I'm going to be talking about why African billionaires stay quiet while the people stay poor. They call them the giants of African hustle. I'm talking about the likes of Aliko Dangote, the likes of Femi Otedola, Patrice Motsepe, Johan Rupert and Strive Masiwa. These are names that echo across boardrooms, across headlines and rich lists. We clap when they rise in the Forbes ranking. We cheer when Dangote builds another refinery. We bow when Rupert speaks about wealth. But behind the glamour of Africa's riches lies a secret system that many young hustlers don't understand. The conspiracy is simple. Africa's billionaires are not hustlers like you. They are gatekeepers. We are told stories of hard work and grit. They say Dangote started with a loan from his uncle. They say Otedola was a boy from Ibadan who dreamt big. They say Motsepe was just a son of a small shop owner who rose to mining glory. Yeah, all true. But the bigger truth is this. Their rise was built not just on sweat, but it was built on systems. Dangote's cement empire exists because of government banned cheaper cement import. If you want to build in Nigeria, you must pass through this gate. I'm talking about the likes of Otedola, who once cornered the oil import market because he had the licenses, while millions of others did not. Rupert's family has also controlled luxury goods in South Africa for generations, shutting out rivals. How about the large Ethiopia's sugar industry? For decades, a handful of insiders held the keys. How about Strive Masiwa empire that was built under state license that cost billions, ensuring that only a few could enter? So the questions for hustlers is this. Are these men really hustlers or they are simply gatekeepers blessed with government keys? So let me break the monopoly game. Just imagine, a marketplace in Lagos where everyone is free to sell bread. Let's say if 10 bakers show up to hustle, that means whoever wakes up the earliest, bakes the best bread, or shouts the loudest wins. But then the government steps in and says, hey, from today, only Musa can sell bread. If everyone else bakes, we will shut them down. So overnight, Musa becomes the bread king. His hustle didn't change, only his access, the license did. And this gives him the much needed leverage he needs to dominate that industry. This is how monopolies are born. And in Africa, the secret is this: the bakery license office is not in the market, it is in politics. So, what can hustlers learn? True hustlers don't need to envy, they need to study. These billionaires don't just hustle like everyone else, they study the system. Then they capture the gates. You as a hustler need to look for your own monopoly niche. Maybe you won't own cement, but in your city, what is scarce? What do people need every day? Can you be the only one providing it? Then most importantly, you need to build access, not noise. In Africa, you need to understand this: money and power are cousins. The hustler who networks strategically will always beat the hustler who only rely on his sweat. So your ability to think systems, not seasons, matters a lot, because hustling for daily bread feeds you today, while owning the bakery feeds your children for a long time. But the monopoly game is a double-edged sword. Now, to be fair, monopolies are not all that evil. These billionaires have actually built jobs. Take for instance Nigeria, Dangote for example. Dangote employs tens of thousands of people. Masiyiwa made phone calls cheaper across Africa. How about Motsepe? He invested in education and philanthropy. So you see, but let's not ignore the other side, often not talked about. When Dangote cement cost twice as much as imported cement, it is the commoner who pays more to build. When telecom license cost billions, the young innovator with a better idea is locked out. When one family controls sugar, bread becomes expensive for the poor. So while the rich build hospitals with one hand, they in turn inflate the prices with the other. And you see the people clap without realizing the game is rigged. The game is rigged against them. So the ancient people knew that he who controls the gate controls the feast. And also I said one unique thing about this part of the world is that in Africa, wealth is not just about working hard at all, but about working close to power. So the upcoming hustler must know that monopolies are silent kingdom built not on hustle alone, but on blocked competition. So a hustler without a clear-cut strategy will spend his life working for the gatekeepers. That's why I don't know if you have noticed something. When African billionaires speak, they talk about charity. They never talk about market reform, which is much needed. They will donate food, but never lobby for lower prices. They will build schools, but never push back for open market and open competition. And why? You need to ask why, because there's a reason. Because true economic freedom will break the very monopolies that made them king. They understand this. So the billionaires' silence is not humility. It is an art of protection learned over the years. So hustlers, here's the truth. The African rich list is not filled with street hustlers like you. It is filled with monopolists. So what should you do then? Don't just grind. Don't just go out there and grind blindly. Don't just sweat. Don't just chase your daily bread. You need to study the gates. You need to study the policies. You need to study where scarcity meets power. Because the day you stop playing the street game and start playing the gates game in your locality, on your territory, that's the day you stop chasing bread and start owning the bakery. So as the rich stay quiet, the poor stay poor. But the wise hustler studies the silence and he learns something. He learns to build his own gates. But hustlers, here's what most don't see. In Africa, wealth is rarely created in a vacuum. It is not just about who has the best idea or who worked the hardest. It is about who stood closest to power when the rules were written. Look at cement in Africa, in West Africa, like I said earlier, when government banned import, only one player was left standing. Look at oil in Nigeria and also Angola. Sorry, licenses were not handed out in open market, but it was handed out in closed rooms. Look at mining in Southern Africa. Concessions are signed behind gates, guided by ministers and not by competition. Even telecoms in East Africa, licenses cost billions, shutting out young innovators before they even start. The truth is this: politics creates billionaires in Africa. Policies are not neutral. They are crafted to protect the chosen few. And when hustlers wonder why they can't break through, it is because the ladder he is climbing on has already been pulled, and it is pulled by the politicians. So hustlers don't need to only study the hustle, they need to study the rules. Every market in Africa is shaped by laws, it is shaped by tariffs, it is shaped by licenses and connections. So if you don't understand the rules, you will always be playing someone else's game. And in the brutal game of hustle, influence matters as much as innovation. In the West, ideas create wealth. In Africa, ideas still matters, but influence decides who profits from it. So another danger hustlers face is this. It is the illusion of merit. This is dangerous. Many who look like self-made success stories were actually policy-made success stories. That's how I call them. Let me not even open that can yet. Let me just leave that. Now let's peel back another layer and focus. We are told these monopolies are good because they create jobs, but hustlers need to be honest. Are these jobs actually lifting people out of poverty or trapping them? Think of the mines in Southern Africa, where workers dig for gold, platinum, and diamonds worth billions, yet many of them still live in shacks, fighting for a living wage. So think of the sugar and tea plantations in East Africa. Generations of families have cut canes and picked leaves, but remain stuck in cycle of poverty, while the owners climb the rich list. Think of factories in West Africa. Thousands are employed, yet most workers can barely earn enough to survive. Why the monopolies keep prices high and profits higher? It is the same story everywhere. Yes, jobs are created, but who truly wins? Who truly is benefiting from this? Know that a job fits you, but ownership frees you. For employment without empowerment is just another form of modern slavery. And never you confuse charity with justice, because that's what most people do. They confuse charity with justice, because a free bag of rice at election time will never replace a fair system that allows you to compete. Here's the controversial truth. Poverty is not just an accident in Africa. It is a design. The system needs cheap labor to keep monopolies alive. The system needs desperation to keep people silent. The system needs dependence, so the hustler claps for the same gate that keeps him out. And that's why many billionaires stay quiet. Have you ever imagined? They stay quiet. The real billionaires actually reaping the they don't make noise because silence is their strongest weapon. So Hustlers Nation, here's the truth. The African rich list is not just about men and women who work harder than you. It is about systems. It is about gates and power structures that were built to favor the few while keeping many on the outside. But this is not just a reason to quit. It is a reason to think bigger. If the game is rigged, then you need to study the rigging system. If the gates are guided by these policies, then we need to learn to build your own gates, and you need to learn how to go around these policies. If politics creates monopolies, then hustlers must create movement. The age of clapping for billionaires is over. So the new age is this. It is for hustlers who refuse to remain workers in another man's kingdom. It is for hustlers who turn their sweat into strategy, who are willing to turn their sweat into strategy and strategy into systems. Because the day you stop chasing crumbs and start building tables, that's the day Africa will stop producing silent billionaires and start producing free nations. So this is me just reminding you that poverty is not the absence of the hustle, it is the presence of gates. So break the gates and break the chains. Thanks for watching. If you haven't joined our community of growing hustlers, you need to hit the subscribe icon so that you continue to stay in touch. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.